Have you ever felt like you were supposed to be further ahead by now? Like no matter how many things you achieve, it never feels enough. You keep moving, keep building, keep proving. Yet deep down, something still feels unfinished. It's as if a part of you stopped growing somewhere along the way. You wear the mask of a man, but some days it feels like you're still that boy, searching for something you can't quite name. And maybe, just maybe, you've started to wonder if everyone else feels the same. You try to keep it together. You tell yourself you're fine. You laugh when things get hard, distract yourself when they get quiet. Because silence is dangerous. It starts whispering truths you don't want to hear. The truth that maybe all this striving isn't leading anywhere. That maybe what you've been chasing isn't growth, it's escape. Escape from the version of you that never got to feel enough. You were told that being a man meant being strong, stoic, unbreakable. But nobody told you that pretending to be unbreakable is the fastest way to fall apart. From a young age, you learned that emotions, weakness, that vulnerability made you soft, that the world doesn't care about how you feel, only what you produce. So you learned to hide it. You built walls, you buried the pain, and for a while, it worked. Until it didn't. Because no matter how deep you bury what's real, it finds its way back. It seeps through the cracks when you're tired, when you're alone, when life stops distracting you. You feel it in that heavy silence before sleep. You feel it in the moments where success feels hollow. You feel it in that quiet ache, the one that whispers, something's missing. You don't talk about it, but you know it's there. And it's not just you. So many men carry that same invisible weight, the weight of pretending, the weight of expectations, the weight of being everything. For everyone, but never truly themselves. They grow older but not wiser, richer but not happier. They chase new goals to avoid old wounds. They perform manhood like a role they never auditioned for. And the world applauds because it looks convincing from the outside. But inside there's a boy, still waiting to be seen. He's the one who felt unheard, the one who needed love, not lessons, the one who was told to man up when what he really needed was to be held. That boy never disappeared, he just learned to hide behind achievements, status, bravado. But the truth is, until you turn around and face him, no amount of success will quiet that emptiness. You can't outrun the parts of yourself you refuse to acknowledge. Growing up isn't about getting older. It's about integration. It's about looking at that inner child, the one you left behind, and saying, I see you. I'm here now. It's not weakness to admit that you're still healing. It's strength to face what you once had to avoid. Because real maturity isn't about control. It's about awareness. It's the moment you stop performing and start understanding. You don't need to become someone else to be whole. You just need to stop abandoning yourself. The world taught you to chase power, respect, independence. But what it didn't teach you is that none of those matter if you're disconnected from your own heart. The greatest freedom isn't found in control. It's found in authenticity. It's when you stop trying to be the man the world expects and start being the man your soul needs. That's the moment everything shifts. The masks fall. The noise fades. The boy inside finally exhales. You begin to feel life again, not as a battle to win, but as something to experience. You stop seeking validation because you finally understand you were never broken, just buried. Beneath the weight of expectation, beneath the noise of performance, there was always something pure, something untouched. And when you reconnect with that, when you let that part of you live again, you don't become less of a man. You become whole. You stop chasing purpose and start being it. The man who grows is not the one who conquers the world, but the one who learns to face himself with honesty, compassion, and peace. That's where real strength lives. That's where life truly begins. But here's the truth. Most men never get there. They stop just short of the breakthrough, standing at the edge of their own transformation, afraid to jump, because stepping into real growth means losing the illusion of control. It means facing everything you've avoided for years. The fears, the shame, the loneliness, the feeling that maybe you've wasted time pretending to be something you're not. And that's terrifying, but that fear, that resistance, isn't your enemy. It's the doorway. The very thing you've been running from is the thing that will finally set you free. Every man reaches a moment when the noise runs out, when the distractions no longer work, when success tastes flat and every escape feels empty. That's when the truth begins to whisper louder than the lies. You realize that you've been living to prove, not to live. You've been performing a version of yourself that the world asked for, but not the one your soul craves. You've built walls so high that you've locked yourself inside them. You've mastered the art of survival, but forgotten how to feel alive. This is where the collapse begins. Not a breakdown, but a breaking open. The moment when pretending costs more than the truth, when the boy inside refuses to stay silent any longer. You start to see that the pain you've been avoiding is actually your teacher. It's not there to punish you. It's there to wake you up. Every ache, every regret, every sleepless night is the universe trying to pull you back to yourself. Growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confrontation. The courage to look in the mirror and say, I can't keep living like this. And when you finally do, something changes. The masks start to fall away, one by one. The need to prove disappears. The hunger for approval fades. What remains is raw, unfiltered truth. You see the man you are, not the one society built, but the one you were meant to become. It's uncomfortable, yes, it's humbling, but it's real. And for the first time, you start to breathe differently. You stop performing and start existing. You stop chasing what's next and begin feeling what's now. You start forgiving yourself for the times you didn't know better, for the walls you built to survive, for the people you hurt while trying to find yourself. You begin to understand that healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about integrating it, turning pain into wisdom, turning confusion into clarity. You realize that the boy inside you doesn't need to disappear. He needs to be loved, because he's the one who still holds your wonder, your creativity, your fire. Without him, you're just a shell. With him, you become whole. And that's the moment you truly grow up. Not when you stop feeling, but when you stop running. When you allow yourself to be both strong and soft, grounded and open, masculine and human. That's what real strength looks like. The ability to face the chaos within and not let it destroy you. To look at your flaws and say, I'm still worthy. To stop trying to fix yourself and start understanding yourself. Because you were never broken. You were just afraid to be seen. So ask yourself, what are you still running from? What truth are you avoiding because it threatens the identity you've built? The world will keep offering distractions, new roles to play, new masks to wear. But peace doesn't live out there. It lives in the quiet acceptance of who you are when all the pretending stops. The man who learns this becomes unstoppable. Not because he's perfect, but because he's real. He no longer fights his reflection. He no longer fears his own depth. He walks through life with presence, with purpose, with peace. That's what growing up truly means. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. The journey isn't to escape the man-child within, but to understand him, embrace him, and finally set him free. Because when you do, you don't just grow up, you awaken. And once you awaken, there's no going back. The truth is, you can only hide from yourself for so long. At some point, life forces you to confront what you've been avoiding. It shows up as frustration, anxiety, burnout, signs that something inside you is starving. You can't numb it with work. You can't silence it with noise. You can't bury it under distractions. It's the voice that keeps whispering, this isn't who I really am. And the more you ignore it, the louder it gets. Until one day, you realize the life you've built doesn't feel like yours anymore. It's just a cage made of expectations. And the key has been in your hand all along. But unlocking that cage requires honesty. Real, uncomfortable honesty. You have to admit that the person you've been pretending to be is tired. That the strong, unshakable version of you is exhausted from holding it all together. That beneath the armor, there's a man who just wants to feel peace. Not the kind you fake in front of others, but the kind that comes when you stop performing. The kind that doesn't depend on what anyone thinks. The kind that's quiet, steady, and real. Most men never find that peace because they confuse healing with weakness. They think feeling deeply makes them soft, but it's the opposite. It takes courage to face yourself. It takes strength to admit you're hurting. It takes power to drop the mask and stand there, exposed, vulnerable, human. That's the real battle. Not against the world, but within yourself. Because the enemy isn't out there, it's the voice inside that says, I'm not enough. Every man has to fight that voice. It's ancient, carved into us by generations of silence, passed down by fathers who never learned how to speak their truth, by a culture that celebrates control but fears emotion. But you have a choice. You can break that cycle. You can be the one who says it ends with me. You can rewrite what strength means. You can redefine manhood, not as domination, but as presence, not as perfection, but as wholeness. And when you start living that truth, everything changes. You stop chasing love and start embodying it. You stop needing validation because you know who you are. You walk differently. You speak with weight. People feel your energy before you say a word because authenticity has power that imitation never will. When you become real, you become magnetic. You draw in peace, purpose, connection. Things that always existed but were buried under pretending. You begin to see that growth isn't about becoming more. It's about becoming honest. The man who can sit with his pain without running from it becomes unstoppable. The man who can love without needing control becomes free. The man who can stand alone without feeling lost becomes whole. This is the transformation the world never taught you. It's not found in status, success, or strength. It's found in surrender, in the willingness to stop forcing life and start feeling it. But here's the urgency. If you don't face this now, the world will do it for you. Life has a way of stripping away everything false until only truth remains. If you keep pretending, it'll keep breaking you, piece by piece, until you finally listen. And by then, it's not a choice, it's a collapse. But you don't have to wait for collapse. You can wake up now. You can choose awareness before destruction. You can choose to grow before you're forced to. So ask yourself, who are you without the mask? Without the noise, the distractions, the ego? Who were you before the world told you who to be? That's the man waiting to rise, the one who doesn't need to perform, the one who leads from truth, not fear, the one who carries light because he's made peace with his own darkness. That's who you were meant to become. And once you meet him, you'll never go back. You'll never again trade peace for approval or authenticity for comfort. You'll walk through the world with clarity, with presence, with quiet confidence that can't be shaken. You'll know that growth was never about building more layers. It was about peeling them away until all that's left is something simple, something pure, something real. The boy within you doesn't disappear. He finally comes home. And when he does, you become whole. The moment you stop running from yourself, life begins to move differently. You start to notice how much energy you've wasted pretending to be unshakable. Every smile that hid exhaustion, every joke that masked pain, every victory that felt hollow. They were all signs pointing to the same truth. You've been surviving, not living. And survival is not the same as being alive. You've built a life made of effort, not ease. Image, not essence. You've carried a version of yourself that was designed to be accepted, not understood. But you can't keep living like that, not when something inside you is begging to be real. The cost of pretending is rising. It's there in the sleepless nights, in the quiet moments when your mind starts asking questions you don't want to answer. Who am I without the chase? Who am I when I stop performing? That's the fear that keeps most men trapped. The fear of silence, of stillness, of discovering that beneath all the striving, There's someone they no longer recognize. But that fear is also the threshold, because once you step through it, you stop living for the world and start living for yourself. And that's when everything changes. You start to see the truth behind the illusion. You see how the world keeps men distracted, measuring worth by numbers, by titles, by attention. It tells you to chase status instead of meaning, success instead of fulfillment. It feeds your ego while starving your soul. But once you wake up, you can't unsee it. You realize that the life you thought you wanted was just a mirror reflecting other people's expectations. You realize that what you've been chasing isn't happiness. It's permission to finally feel enough. But you don't need permission. You never did. The power to change has been inside you the whole time. It's in the quiet courage to stop numbing yourself. It's in the decision to stop proving and start being. The world might not reward that at first, but life will. Because the moment you align with truth, everything false starts falling away. People who once defined you no longer control you. The opinions that once shaped you lose their weight. You start walking through life lighter, freer, more grounded in who you are. And that's when growth turns into transformation. Not the kind that comes from effort, but from release. You stop adding more to your life and start letting go. Letting go of the guilt that you're not enough. Letting go of the anger that once protected you. Letting go of the idea that strength means silence. You begin to realize that being a man isn't about dominance. It's about depth. It's not about having power. It's about having peace. And that peace only comes when you stop pretending and start listening. You start listening to that voice you've buried for years. The one that knows who you really are. The one that's been whispering through every restless night. It doesn't shout. It doesn't beg. It just waits for you to finally hear it. That voice is your truth, your compass, your freedom. And when you follow it, everything false begins to collapse. The masks, the roles, the noise, they all crumble. What's left is something raw, real, unshakable. A man who no longer seeks validation because he's found himself. But this isn't a one-time awakening. It's a lifelong practice. Every day, you'll be tempted to return to the old ways, to hide, to please, to perform. Every day, the world will try to sell you distractions to make you forget. But if you can remember, even for a moment, who you truly are beneath it all, you win. Because awareness is the beginning of freedom. It's the quiet power that no one can take from you. So stop waiting for the perfect time. There isn't one. Stop waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to let go. No one will. Life doesn't wait for permission. It demands participation. This is your moment. To break the pattern, to reclaim your fire, to wake up from the illusion that kept you small. The man you've always wanted to become isn't somewhere in the future. He's right here, buried under the noise, waiting for you to come home. And when you finally do, you'll see that growing up was never about becoming someone new. It was about remembering who you already are. Every man reaches a point where he can no longer hide behind excuses. That moment when the distractions stop working, when the noise fades, and all that's left is the truth staring back. You know it when it happens. The weight in your chest, the feeling that something inside you is out of alignment. You've played the part long enough. You've worn the mask so well that even you started to believe it. But the cracks are showing now, aren't they? The tension between who you pretend to be and who you really are. It's tearing you apart from the inside, and you can feel it. That's not weakness. That's your soul demanding honesty. You can't keep living half alive. You can't keep pretending that comfort equals peace. Because deep down you already know it doesn't. Comfort is just another prison. And every day you stay there, you trade a piece of yourself for the illusion of safety. But safety is not living, it's hiding. And the man who hides from himself can never be free. You weren't made to blend in. You weren't made to follow the script. You were made to wake up, to break the cycle, to rewrite the story that's been written for you since the day you were told to be a man. That phrase became a chain, didn't it? It taught you to close your heart to survive, to replace emotion with ambition, to trade authenticity for approval. But the cost is too high now. Every time you silence what's real, something inside you dies a little. Every time you perform instead of feel, you drift further from your truth. And if you don't stop now, you'll wake up one day surrounded by everything you thought you wanted and still feel empty, because the world can't give you what you refuse to give yourself, permission to be real. It's time to break the silence, time to face what you've buried. That pain you carry isn't there to destroy you. It's there to guide you. It's the compass pointing back to everything you lost while trying to be what others needed you to be. You don't have to keep fighting yourself. You don't have to keep living behind armor that doesn't fit. The world doesn't need another man pretending to have it all together. It needs men brave enough to tell the truth. To say, I'm tired, I'm lost, but I'm ready to find myself again. Hey, bro, that's not weakness. That's the beginning of real power. Because when you finally stop resisting what hurts, you start to transform it. The boy who was never allowed to feel finally gets to breathe. The man who was taught to conquer finally learns to connect. The war within begins to end. And that's when something incredible happens. You stop living from fear and start living from truth. Every step you take after that feels different. You're no longer chasing validation, you're walking in alignment. You're no longer proving your worth, you're embodying it. This is what awakening feels like. It's raw, it's uncomfortable, it's messy, but it's real. It's the moment you take back your power from the world and give it back to yourself. The moment you stop asking, what do they think of me? And start asking, what do I think of myself? That's the question that changes everything. Because when you start living from your own truth, you stop needing the world to understand you. You stop seeking applause. You stop chasing peace. You become it. But don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait until you've figured it all out. The man who waits for certainty never grows. The man who hesitates loses years he'll never get back. Growth begins the moment you decide to stop running. The moment you look at yourself and say, no more pretending. That decision alone can change your life. It can rebuild everything you thought was lost, because the truth is, it was never gone. It was just buried under fear. So rise.